I don't know if you guys have this one or not. But Gerard to be able to, we're just gonna talk about the retirement real quick. And the director is not here.
He's not.
Where's name over here for me? Thank you. I'll put this and you can take Sam's away. All right. If I gotta step out, Commissioner, if I have to step out, I'll turn it over to you, but we shouldn't be here very long. Did you get this? Joe, did you, does everybody have this in their packet?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good, very good. Well, with the teacher, we'll be going over this document here. So this is the one we're gonna go over, everyone. So if this is in your packet. So it says GRS at the top. Okay, all right, so we're ready. Are we ready? Let me know when we're ready.
Yes, we're ready.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting of the Benefits and Staffing Task Force to order. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Marecki, Commissioner Kenizic, Commissioner Dahl,
Here.
Vice Chair Clark Coleman, Chair Bell,
Here.
you have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Item B, approval of the May 18th, 2023 meeting minutes.
Okay, because everyone had an opportunity to look at the minutes. If so, I'll entertain a motion.
Move for support.
It's been moved by Commissioner Marecki, supported by Commissioner Dobb to adopt the meetings of the May 18th meeting. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Next item, please.
Item C, unfinished business, there is none listed. Moving to item D1 under new business, discussion with the Wayne County Employees Retirement System.
Okie dokie. So we are moving quite along with all of the information. We've got a lot of good information from what staffing needs there are, what plans there are to address salaries, what plans there are, and we'll talk at the next meeting about some things that have been implemented. But the medical health care we discussed at the last meeting, and we'll probably have one more meeting on healthcare, but I also wanted to bring in retirement because when you talk about attracting and retaining employees, it's not just salaries, it's medical benefits, and it's also retirement benefits. People look at all of those things when they're determining where they're going to go work and if they're going to stay at a certain employer. So we want to look at all of those things. So today we're going to talk to the retirement board about where we are, what we're doing, and some possible programs we can implement as we go forward as it relates to retirement. We had a survey conducted, when I say we, the Wayne County Retirement System, to see what the cost would be for a DROP program. And DROP simply means Deferred Retirement Option Plan. A lot of agencies in law do something like that in order to keep their law enforcement. State of Police does it. Michigan State Police, the Detroit Police Department has a version of it as well. So we wanted to do a study by our actuarial company to see what the cost would be if Wayne County instituted such a thing. So there is a report in your packet. It says GRS on it. So we'll go through that. And today we have with us Gerard from the retirement system. Unfortunately, the director, Rod Girton, is out of town and wasn't able to come, but we do have Gerard, who was more than able to discuss where we are with the retirement system, any suggestions that they would have on how to make it more appealing to our employees and to possible employees. So with that being said, Gerard, I will turn it over to you, sir.
Sure. So we asked the system's actuary, Gabriel Roller and Smith, to do a study on a DROP program, on a proposed DROP program. So if you go to page 2, so page 2 assumes that Well, it gives you the valuation. And right now, we have a total of 1,688 people in active defined benefit plans. And that's that payroll for that is $93,493,430. And the average age is 47.7 years old and 13.1 years of service. So the theory behind the drop is that people will put off their retirement in order to get a savings account, so to speak. So if you go to page 4, page 4 gives you the assumptions. So Gable, Roeder, and Smith assumed that they have two scenarios, scenario 1 and scenario 2. And in both scenarios, they assume that 25% of the people will delay their retirement in order to participate in the drop program. So they also assume in scenario 1 that you would receive 75% of your pension. And your pension would be put into the retirement account, and we would manage that money. And 25% of the pension would go to the retirement account to offset the cost of this drop program. That's why you're trying to make it cost neutral. That's where some of the savings is. So, so in other words, if you had a $100,000 pension, that's what your pension is supposed to be, just to make the math easy. 75,000 would go into an account that we would, depending on what you want to do with the investments, and I believe this one assumes a 4% return. And that means we guarantee a 4% return on that money. And the other 25%, which would be $25,000, would stay in the system and hopefully would make money off it, would make more than the actuarial assumption, which is on page 1 of 6.75%. And that way we would earn money.
Mm-hmm.
And that would help offset the cost. So when I say cost neutral, the $196,111,753 is the valuation at no drop for the active employees. So if you go with the 75% model, you see that it ticks up a little bit, but not much. And then if you go with the 70% model with all these same assumptions, but instead of getting 75% into your savings account, you'd only get 70%. So instead of that 70,000 or 75,000, you just get 70,000, then 30,000 would go to the system, which will help fund the system theoretically.
I'm sorry, hold on. I have a question for Commissioner Marecki.
Sure.
Thank you. So, but are you assuming that people would only prolong their retirement by a half a year?
No.
Oh,
Well, they're assuming. No, I don't believe so. I think that they're assuming you're going to participate in the program the full 3 or 5 years. That's what this proposed study is.
okay. Because I thought these assumptions were talking to people.
Yeah, no, this is what the actuary assumes.
What the actuary assumes.
Right.
Okay.
This
But that's
study
not very,
is done by the actuary.
but so their actuaries only assuming it would be a half a year?
I don't think that's the case. I would have to average delay.
I think what we asked them to do was look at it at a 3-year and 5-year.
Yeah, we
I
did.
don't know why that 0.5 years
Okay.
is there, but that's what we requested them to look at.
Okay,
So it could be just a typo on their part.
Right, I'll find out for you. and get
okay,
back with you,
sounds good.
Commissioner
Thanks.
Murphy. Yeah.
Thank you.
See, on page 3, at the top of page 3, it says the minimum drop period is 3 years and the maximum drop period is 5 years. Now, there's other systems that have drop plans as much as 10 years, like the city of Detroit. Fire and police actually have the drop program in the city of Detroit
For 10 years.
for 10 years, correct?
Okay. All right, go ahead. Continue. She's good.
Oh,
Go ahead.
okay. So that's what they determined the cost of it would be. And that's what they mean by as close to not cost neutral as possible. So does anybody have any other questions?
So on that, I guess the question that always comes to mind is what harm will it do to the retirement system? And based on these numbers, not much. I mean, it would, cost us the 539,000 or 408,000 if we took that money out wholly and just left either 25% or 30% in, which is something that if we could do, could delay people who are in retirement, especially when we look at our sheriff's deputies. The question would be, if we should do this for Wayne County, will we open it up or could we open it up to the entire labor force, or would we want to just keep it with the law enforcement, which of course is where we have so many openings at the sheriff's office. So that's why we did this study, and they did it pretty quickly. I think we requested it in January. They had it back to us in March, but that's what we want to give the information as personnel makes that decision. And as we look at it ourselves to see if that's something that we want to recommend that we engage in. But the question is, as I stated, do we just keep it to one group, or is it possible through CBAs to open it up to other groups? And that's probably a question for our personnel director, who I see in the back row there. Come on up, Donna. But this gives us some baseline information because we don't do it at all. And there are other, like the state of Michigan, city of Detroit, there are other municipalities throughout the country, throughout the county, the state that does do it. So does it make sense for Wayne County to do is the question. And if it does make sense, do we do it across the board or start it with one particular unit, such as our law enforcement? Donna, have you all had any conversation about what that looks like? And if do you all think it's feasible?
Through the chair, no, we have not started looking at retirement when we're bargaining with the unions right now. We have done some proposals, but not looking at the retirement proposals yet.
Okay, is that something that's on your radar
Yes.
to look at as you're looking at
Yes.
totality? Okay,
The totality of compensation.
okay, thank you. Commissioner Recky?
I just have a question actually for you.
Oh.
So the state's doing it just for the state
Yes, the
police?
state police.
And the city's just doing it for their?
Fire and police.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do we know of anyone that's doing it with their
Other,
whole entities?
are you aware, Gerard? Or do you?
I think there are some.
Some
but it's most
smaller,
Popular in the police and fire
Okay.
departments.
Yeah.
But there are some that extend it to everybody.
smaller municipalities,
Yeah.
like maybe a city here, a
Mhm.
smaller city here or there. But it's most popular because over the last few years, that's where you have the drain is in fire and police. And they're trying to find ways to keep their officers from retiring, but still, giving them something which they can give a little incentive to stay. And that's why we did it for 3 to 5 years, because even if we can get 3 more years, it's better than nothing. Especially because people, we get the retirement list every month, and that retirement list is growing. And a lot of people are coming from the sheriff's department when they retire. So this is something that I think we should take a serious look at, especially what we wanted to know, and the numbers are here, was the cost to the pension plan, and it's kind of nominal. And that was the big reason why we did the study, to see if it would be or not be nominal to the pension plan if we were to do something like this. Commissioner Kling?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we have what, 3,000 active employees?
I believe,
About
that-
4 with the courts, I think.
yeah, okay, if you include the courts, correct.
Okay. They're in the retirement system. the
Yes.
current. Is there in this talk about whether it's to all employees or to the public safety? Do you have a number for the retirement system? Let's say this was extended to all current employees. Do you have a number like that? Because when we're asking the question about what the effect is on the retirement system, I'd like to take these individual numbers and turn them into, okay, if it's everybody,
What does it look like?
is it relatively neutral?
Mhm.
Is it a really big change?
Well, I believe that this 1,688 is all the people in the defined benefit plan. All the active people in the defined benefit plan.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, right.
Yeah, the rest of the people are defined contribution plan.
So for that 1,700, then
Yeah, from the documents I
if
have.
everybody was
in front of
offered
me,
stop,
That would be everybody, because there's
And-
only
but
currently
what
about
would be the
600
number? What
sheriffs.
would be the effect on the retirement system? If everybody was in?
Well, I believe the study assumes
Everyone.
everyone,
Mhm. And Macomb County, I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
just got some information. Macomb County has everyone in it.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually.
And so what's the total cost then, if all 17?
Well, it looks like, well, they're assuming 25% participation.
Right,
And if they got 25% participation, it looks like the difference would be between 196 million and 199 million for the 70% one, and 196 million and 200 million for the first scenario, which
so
is a
that
little
would
more
be if
lucrative.
25. If.
If 25%
Of our workforce.
participated,
Mhm.
correct.
Okay, so the accrued.
And
So how do we turn that 200 million of active member accrued liability? I just want to know what the effect on your system is going to be. To your, how does that affect your balance sheets and all of that kind of stuff? We're getting an affordability question.
Right. So the 539th would be the cost, the increase contribution cost, 539,000 for 75% and 408,000 for 70% on
Correct.
page 4, in that box
Yes.
on page 4
that's
And that
correct.
is for 25% of the people.
of the workforce. 25% of those on the defined benefit
17,
plan
okay.
of the 1,700 or 1,800 rather,
So
1,688.
how do you view that if that's implemented for all the workers? How do you view that in terms of the finances of the retirement system? Something we can handle? A bridge too far? Where are we at?
Well, 500, we're $1 billion system. We are 1.1 billion right
Right.
now, 1.2
Yeah,
billion.
well, we can still wreck that, no problem.
Hoping that we don't.
Give us 100 million, we'll wreck that too. It's possible if good decisions aren't made, and that's why I'm trying to get at the numbers here.
Right. $539,000. The actuary viewed this as a cost neutral proposal, or as close to a cost neutral proposal as you
Okay.
could get. So that's how I would answer that question. 'Cause I don't have a crystal
For
ball.
you.
Right.
Well, that's good. If it's cost neutral, then it's something we could offer employees and then go look for the stuff that does cost money
Mhm.
to help them out in the budget. Okay, thank you, Madam
Mhm.
Chair.
Commissioner Murphy?
Thank you for recognizing me again. I guess the little thing that makes me nervous, I mean, it seems like there has to be a lot more work into this, is page 5, the risk and limitations. There's a lot of them. But the recommendation, if a drop is implemented, we recommend that it's established for a limited period of time and reviewed after that time to determine. But some of these risks and limitations are really up in the air. I mean, it's hard to be just black and white on this, it looks like. But that's just my comment.
Yeah, I mean, in the actuarial, they have to list all of the possible risks that could affect the system. I guess the question is it probable or possible? Probably on the probable side, but not necessarily possible, you know. It could happen, but they're responsible to make sure that they list everything that could possibly happen. But the recommendation piece that say for a limited time, if we did it for 3 years and then reevaluate to see if it makes sense, to see if people are taking it, to see if it does it have a detrimental effect to the retirement system or not, it's something that we could look at, you know, periodically, if we decide to go this route. But, you know, Macomb County, and I don't have what their plan actually looks like, but the fact that they're doing it makes me, for their entire workforce, not just their sheriff's office, makes me think it does have some benefit to it if the entire county's doing it. Again, it's something that public safety normally does, but I would be interested to see how Macomb County is handling that.
I could probably forward that to you.
Go ahead, Richard. Oh, go ahead. Mhm. Sit down, Tony. Sit down. Yeah, no, we're all,
You gotta
this
be
isn't
on
formal
mic.
here.
All right. Thank you. How does the drop program affect those who are in the defined contribution as opposed to
To try
defined
and
benefit?
benefit.
Well, there would be no effect on the defined contribution people.
They would not be eligible, in other words.
No, I don't see how you could
I
be
didn't either.
eligible.
Yeah.
I couldn't either. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
And that's why of our total population of employees, only back to the number 1688 would be affected by this particular plan.
Right.
Yeah, because the difference are in the DC plan.
That's the act goes right there. 1688.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, sure. It's public
Thanks so
record.
much, Madam Chair.
thank you.
Yeah, you can have
Thank you for that clarification. That's a good question. You know, how many are in DC versus the DB plan?
Yeah, so I could probably get the Macomb County drop program and send it to you before your next meeting. Do you know when your next
Yeah.
meeting is?
We'll know in about 20 minutes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Colleen?
Thank you. One more on this, Madam Chair. Thank you. I would like to know from Macomb County how the workers reacted to this. Right? And I think then we could talk to maybe an ASME president out there and give us an on the ground, how did the workforce
Mhm. How
respond to
many
making this
people?
change?
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know how, what, you
Did
know.
people feel like it was a good thing,
Mhm.
right?
How many people
Uh,
took advantage of it?
Yeah. Or did people feel like, you know, but I would like to get a temperature of the workers
Mhm.
in how they react to this plan,
Okay.
not just strictly the dollars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we're
Thanks.
taking notes so we can, we can find someone over there.
Yeah, and I'd like to put the finance people out.
Right,
Well, it
From-
was already saying that.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
from the Macomb County Finance, how was working with them?
360.
This is a voluntary.
No.
Yes, it's voluntary. Yeah, the
So
drop program
they
would be
can-
voluntary.
They can either take advantage of this.
Or
they
not.
can- Or they can stay with what
Mhm,
they have.
mhm.
If there's not enough to go in it. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. So, and I guess that's a good question. So when police and fire, let's say Detroit, is it mandatory that everyone goes into it or is it voluntary?
No, I had a brother that was a Detroit firefighter and he was voluntarily in the drop program. The only negative thing is he didn't want to leave after 10 years was up.
He didn't want to leave.
Because he was only 57 years old
Oh,
and he wanted
wow.
to stay, but, he made a decision, he had to live with it.
Oh, and so once you make that decision, you're stuck with it. So if you say, okay, I'm going in for 5 years, you have to retire. I'm going in for 3 years,
Unless you
have to leave.
unless you make up some kind of other provisions that you
Mhm.
can,
Okay, okay,
Oh,
okay, okay.
I didn't realize
yeah.
that.
But from what I could gather, the Detroit police and firefighters that I know
Mhm.
personally, they liked it.
Okay.
That's
Okay,
not too scientific, but
Right. right, right. But it's voluntary. It's
Right.
voluntary. They can opt in or out of it. Okay, you have any other comments you'd like to give us, Gerard, before we take more questions from the committee?
No, that was about it.
Okay. And again, this document is good. This is the actuarial report that they gave to us, I
Right.
think, last month.
It was presented at open meeting. That's why I don't mind
Mhm.
giving it out.
Yep. And it's good information because I think the purpose of this committee is to gather all the information we can gather about all the options available. And then at the end of our work, we can make some recommendations to implement to the administration. And this is one of those, get this information. And if we think it makes sense, we can give it to them to look at further to possibly implement. Because whatever we do, I would like our recommendations to be implemented at the top of the fiscal year, October 1, we have our next fiscal year. They could be discussed, the financial impact during budget. And then if once it gets to Ways and Means budget cycle, then, implemented in October 1. Terrence, did you have any comments on the fiscal side of this program?
Well, I just had a question. I know Tony asked about the drop for DC people. Isn't there an annuity program that the county offers for DC people to going into retirement?
That's correct. I suppose theoretically, you could take the annuity and then that would give you a defined, so to speak, benefit pension program, I guess. But, that's something that I don't believe we considered when we did the study.
No, we just looked at.
Yeah, I did think about that after Tony, I know you too. I couldn't remember your name. I don't know why. But I did think about that right after he asked me that question, that I guess there is a workaround if you were to do that, if you were to annuitize, and then you get monthly checks from the retirement system. The only thing is, I would have to, I don't want to speak off the top of my head. I would have to look at all the regulations and stuff like that. And then, obviously, the actuary did not anticipate that.
Right.
So there would be more people available to participate in the program than the 1688. So we'd have to consider that. But I guess there's a way around anything, I think.
No, it's not. We can't say that on record. Question for Don. I know your labor person isn't here, but would that be something that we would have to bargain for with the bargaining units?
Yes, any changes to health, welfare, and retirement need to be
Okay.
bargained.
Okay, so we would have to, let's say, I'm just throwing something out.
Yeah.
If you're in the middle of bargaining, you would have to then, let's say we completed bargaining and they voted on their new contract, you would have to open up or ask them to open it back up to see if this is something that they would want to vote.
But we have to bargain over.
And say if it's something
Right.
that, and then they would have to vote on it and then
Yes.
come back. Okay, all right. Okay. Any additional questions on the drop program and what it is and what it could, we'll get those questions answered that Commissioner Colleen inquired about as far as the Macomb County people and the unions and see what they think about it and how it's been working and the financial impact that it's had to Macomb County. And we'll come back with those answers. We're almost done. I think maybe we're going to have 2 more meetings. We still have some questions outstanding for medical and healthcare. So I want to kind of move this along. So if you all don't mind, next Thursday after full board meeting for just to get those outstanding questions on the medical side answered. And I think at that time, Donna, I don't know, either yourself or Janelle. You do? Oh, perfect. Well, you do. I don't. Can talk about some of the things that have happened.
So we'll come back and
Give update if you would, or some of the things that, yeah. So we'll do that. So the next meeting on the 16th at 12:30. I'm sorry, that was the 5th to 15th. Sorry, at 12:30. Okay.
Wait, the 15th, right?
Yes, 15th next Thursday.
It's already on.
Well, why is that on mine? Not on yours. Okay, good. Okay, very good. So we'll do that. We'll talk about medical. Hopefully we'll have the answers to Macomb County. And then after that one, we'll have one more, I suspect, in top of July. And at that time, we can kind of recap. If you have any questions, Joe has been taking great notes and keeping track of all of our discussion pieces. So if there's something that you'd like to recommend that you heard to Joe, I'll come in with some recommendations. If there's some additional things, talk to me or to Joe, and we'll have those discussions at the July meeting. Mhm.
Because I don't recall this, but I'm a commissioner, so it might not be the same. I know on your pay stub, you get to see where all the monies were taken out.
Mhm.
And I think I mentioned this before, when I was on the city council in Livonia, we decided to start sending each employee like a pie-shaped
Oh.
visual so they could see exactly what they were getting,
Mm.
because the numbers didn't necessarily mean much to them, but to see it in a colored pie shape
Mhm.
really kind of enlightened people that they weren't getting the short end of things necessarily. And, to let them know exactly what they were being given, what they were participating in. But it's pretty daunting for all these employees, but I think it's a good tool to show people, because just listing numbers doesn't really affect them. I think
Go ahead.
this-
Not speaking upon the treasurer, whoever does these statements, but I know through benefits, we are looking at some updates to designs of how we communicate information. So I will take that back with the benefits team, and when Precious is here next time, we'll be able to provide some more guidance on where we're going with it.
Does that come on their pay stub?
The
The
detailed.
numbers do,
Right.
but you don't see
The pie,
whole-
no, I'm saying on for Livonia, they had the pie chart on their pay.
Every year they set them out.
Over a
at
year.
a-
Okay, once a year.
Like an annual statement or something,
Okay.
yes.
Mhm.
It'd be nice if we had a portal to go to
We're
look at
working
that
on
on a bi-weekly basis.
We're working on it. It's called the Connect 43 Oracle. So
Oh.
we are working on it.
Connect 43.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. I'm maybe you just
Yeah.
go into your portal and see where you are and kind of like your retirement if you. Yeah, and you can kind of pie it out and chart it out. Okay. All right, yes. Sure.
Thank you. Have we looked at parental leave benefits as to what we offer for Wayne County and compare that to other municipalities, other counties?
Yes, we have looked at, and I'm assuming you're saying paid parental leave versus
Correct.
FMLA. Yes,
Mhm.
we are looking at paid parental leave and some other leave types.
Okay. Maybe that's. something
What
we can
other
discuss.
types?
So employees have medical, they have FMLA, so looking at how we coordinate various leaves. And so
Like sick.
they have sick leave, they have vacation time.
No, what are you looking at? Are you looking at additional? Or can you not say right now? Okay, but you're looking at additional leave options.
Right.
Okay, we'll leave it there until
Because, some employees have educational leave.
Mhm.
And so we have a rich benefit plan. I just don't think people, back to Commissioner Maricki is saying is that everyone's not aware of what we offer.
Mhm.
And so in addition to anything new, we want to enhance what we already offer and communicate that. So.
because I don't know if gentlemen get time off for newborns or not.
They, under the FMLA, they do.
Under
receive-
FMLA, but
yes.
not as part of a
Currently,
package.
right, no county employee gets paid parental leave.
Yeah.
And so I think you're
So-
asking for a new benefit.
Mhm,
Mhm.
mhm. All right, any additional questions? Okay, thank you, Gerard. Thank
you
you,
for having
Donna. Thank you, sir. And we will reconvene next Thursday as we start to wrap this up. Thank you all for your time. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm acting like, let me go back to it. I know. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Properly submitted before the committee.
No other matters.
Public comments.
Anyone from the public wish to address the body? Anyone on Zoom? Anyone in the audience?
All lines on Zoom have been prompted to unmute.
Okay, anyone on Zoom wish to give public comments at this time? Anyone on Zoom? Anyone in the audience? Okay, next item,
Adjournment.
motion to adjourn. All right, thank you all so much. That was painless.